I was returning home after a long drive, having already covered most of the journey on a quiet highway. It was around 11 p.m., and the road was desolate. An incident ahead caused a traffic jam, leaving me stranded and in no position to book a hotel for the night. I kept driving, hoping to reach home soon. During this late-night drive, I noticed a car behind me. Initially, I didn't think much of it, assuming it was another traveler heading the same way. But it persisted, trailing me for an hour, making me increasingly uneasy. Eventually, I stopped at a gas station to grab a drink. The car stopped across the road, seemingly observing but not moving closer. My discomfort grew. Continuing on the road, the car followed me yet again. I decided to pull over at a rest stop to use the facilities. The other vehicle stopped at the entrance, still not making any moves. That's when a sense of real unease settled in. I was now a couple of hours away from home and feeling stalked. To confirm if I was being followed or if it was just a coincidence, I stopped at a pullout. The car also pulled over on the opposite side of the road but stayed put, neither advancing nor retreating. My anxiety skyrocketed. I reached out to my parents, explaining the situation and my concern. Following their advice, I made a series of left turns downtown. To my shock, the car kept following me through each turn. My parents instructed me to head to the police station, and the car followed the whole way. As I turned into the police station parking lot, the car abruptly sped off, leaving me relieved but bewildered. I reported the incident to the authorities, but there were no further updates. The motive behind this eerie pursuit remains a mystery, leaving me cautious and vigilant, especially when someone follows my route at night. I was on a road trip with a group of friends. We'd been driving for hours, and the fatigue was starting to set in. We were going through this long stretch of road in the middle of nowhere, just fields on either side. It was the dead of night, no streetlights in sight, just darkness all around. Our driver, Mike, had been at the wheel for quite some time. We were all tired, but he was pushing on, determined to reach our destination. As we continued down the road, I couldn't shake this unsettling feeling. I noticed Mike's demeanor change, subtle things, but they stood out to me. His breathing seemed off, and his focus appeared hazy. I hesitated, then asked, "Hey, Mike, are you feeling all right? Maybe we should pull over for a bit." He responded with a quick, "No, I'm good. Let's just get to the next stop." Something felt wrong, but I didn't want to push too much. We drove on, and finally, we found a hotel to stay for the night. The next morning, I brought up the eerie stretch of road, and Mike went quiet. He confessed that he had no clear memory of that part of the journey, feeling like it was a dream. He remembered my inquiry, but had thought it was part of that same dreamlike state. That's when it struck me, the realization that exhaustion can truly blur reality, that Mike had been driving almost on autopilot, detached from his senses and surroundings. We made a pact after that, promising to keep an eye on each other and always take breaks, no matter how determined the driver might be. It was a chilling reminder of how tiredness can distort judgment and perception, and it was a lesson we didn't want to learn the hard way. Driving while fatigued is just as dangerous as driving under the influence. Safety should always come first. I was driving home late one Christmas night from a family gathering. It was one of those nights when the sky seemed to absorb all light, creating an eerie, dark world around the rural, empty roads. It's a place where the forest seemed to grow thicker, embracing the road in a dense curtain of trees. I'm cruising down this barely used back road, the only way in and out, in a rush to make it back before the dead of night. Then, out of nowhere, I spot a figure trudging along the side of the road. It's a man, alone, in the middle of the woods. Being the good Samaritan I thought I was, I slowed down and stopped to offer him a ride. The second he got in the truck, something felt off. He was carrying a compound bow, which instantly raised red flags in my mind. It wasn't unheard of in these parts, but at that hour, It just didn't sit right with me. I tried to make conversation, breaking the uncomfortable silence that enveloped the truck. But the man was as silent as the night outside. He didn't seem willing to engage in any small talk, and the few words he muttered were hardly audible. He asked me to stop at an upcoming turnoff, a dead end where he claimed his car was parked. The anxiety in my gut was starting to rise, and every silent minute that passed felt like an eternity. As we approached the turnoff, I decided to park the truck at the side, just to be cautious. As he stepped out to retrieve his bow, something about his demeanor and the unsettling silence made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It was as if the atmosphere itself held its breath. His gaze locked onto mine, and time seemed to halt for a moment. Instinct took over, and I drove away without looking back, the unease lingering with me for miles. In the rearview mirror, I glimpsed the same pull-off where I dropped him. Noticing a minivan parked there, door ajar, no sign of the stranger. The whole experience was too eerie, too surreal, to be forgotten easily. That night left a mark on me, instilling a sense of caution and a firm vow to avoid picking up hitchhikers again. The feeling of something off-kilter lingers in my memory, a stark reminder of how situations can quickly shift from a random act of kindness to a tense and unsettling moment. The backwoods mysteries remain, shrouded in the enigma of that dark, silent Christmas night. I once found myself in the middle of an unnerving experience during a wintry night in the heart of rural Wisconsin. It was one of those situations where you feel like a character in a horror movie, even though the rational part of your brain says it's all just a coincidence. I was coming back from a children's theater camp during a monstrous snowstorm. The trip was treacherous, and the low visibility made it feel like I was navigating through a thick white fog. As if the weather wasn't bad enough, my gas tank was nearly empty, leaving me with no choice but to stop at the first available gas station, a small, seemingly abandoned spot in the midst of desolate fields. As I began fueling up, I had a sudden sense of being watched. Out of nowhere, a rickety old truck pulled in, and two rugged-looking men emerged. While one of them proceeded to pump gas, the other strolled over to me, asking a slew of overly friendly but alarmingly invasive questions. Despite my fears, I tried to remain composed, focusing on the task at hand and deliberately ignoring the man's questions. Yet the situation was tinged with an eerie unease. The snowfall seemed to muffle the surroundings, and my isolation felt particularly acute. No cell service, no one else around, and me, alone in the storm with these strangers. Once my gas tank was filled, I moved as swiftly as I could, returning to my vehicle and pulling away cautiously. The whole encounter felt like a scene from a suspense thriller, leaving me anxious and shaken even after the fact. To this day, I wonder what the intentions of those men were and whether my anxiety was warranted. It was a bone-chilling moment in the midst of an already stressful night.